6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome into First Alert Weather Extra on this Thursday evening. The storms have finally passed for most of us here, at least in the Birmingham viewing area. I'm meteorologist Lauren Lenahan. This is our all-weather 30-minute streaming show that you can catch exclusively on your streaming platform. So, hey, it started off hot, ridiculously humid today. But here's the good news. We had some storms to come through that helped to cool us off. Let's get a live look right now at a time lapse of storms as they came through Birmingham for today. So I say live look, but this was actually how storms progressed throughout the day. We can see it started off mighty sunny, but check as we progress through the afternoon. We begin to see those clouds firing up a little bit and then more clouds passing over. And eventually here come the storms in all their glory, roaring into Alabama, bringing sorry camera, sorry about that little First Alert Sky Vision. That didn't look very comfortable. If a storm came up and did that to me, I'd have something to say and probably pop off. But hey, look at those views. It almost looked like the sun setting there right after the storms pass. Now, sunset will be happening here within about an hour. I know we're scratching away at the time and that lovely daylight that we get this time of the year as we get closer to the fall months, but pretty cool view of those storms today. And I'm just going to keep dragging this out because I just want to watch it one more time. Such a cool shot, except when the camera gets knocked to the side. But hey, we're doing a lot better now. It's nowhere near as hot. Check out as those storms came through how they really helped to knock down temperatures. So Demopolis, you're still holding on, waiting for those storms to come in, but for the rest of us in the 70s right now, here about an hour out from sunset. We're at 77 now in Birmingham, 75 in Haleyville, 74 in Talladega, still at 85 in Marion, 82 in Utah, but now that storms have been moving through, 78 in Aliceville, 75 up in Coleman. So feeling pretty good. Now, we have had a severe thunderstorm watch in place, but we've seen more counties removed from that. So there's still some severe weather down to our south, and as I mentioned, areas like Sumter County over into Greene County, still some storms moving through, but it looks like as they're pushing to the south, they're losing any severe characteristics. We'll zoom in here closer to the Auburn, Montgomery area in east central Alabama over towards the Chattahoochee River in Columbus, Georgia. You can see a severe thunderstorm warning has been extended south of Lee County and south of Tuskegee, possibly including areas like Phoenix City, Columbus, Georgia, getting extended farther into Georgia because as these storms come through, they're going to have some potent winds on them. Notice, though, they are becoming more outflow dominant. You see these little almost snake-like features on radar? Those are called outflow boundaries. That's that rain-cooled air from the storm running into the warm, humid air out ahead of it. And you can sometimes see more development, but if these get potent enough, that can really kind of help the storm to eventually fizzle out. So we may eventually see that, but hey, not our problem. That's down to the south and east. We are still watching a couple of storms, though, east Mississippi, west Alabama, as they're pushing to the south. They are beginning to weaken too as they move towards I-20. So let's look at the radar view here for the next 60 minutes. It does look like storms will continue to push areas south and east, south of Columbus, Georgia, getting closer to the Wiregrass in southeast Alabama. And then that one little cluster of thunderstorms we were watching closer to Greene and Pickens County, just going to keep on moving south. So hey, drying out for tonight, not looking too bad. Now, however, even though we're drying out tonight, we've still got this unsettled pattern in the forecast. We've got scattered showers and storms possible each day with this northwest flow pattern in place. You can see off and on rounds of clusters of storms coming in from the northwest, pushing to the southeast like we've seen today. That can be bringing the potential for heavy rainfall that could lead to some localized flooding, the possibility of strong wind gusts, and some intense lightning. And my goodness, you get that intense lightning, the thunder has something to say about it too. But hey, we've got a good show coming up here on First Alert Weather Extra. Coming up tonight, you know, it may be, well, it's not spring. What season is it right now? Summer. Obviously, it's summer here in areas like North America, but go down into the southern hemisphere. They've been dealing with some hot temperatures and it's their winter. We'll talk about how heat and sleep are related, an update on the Atlantic hurricane season, and this is probably my favorite story. It's National Watermelon Day, so treat yourself. We'll be right back.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Good Day, Alabama.
A new morning comes with preparing right, because while you slept, news broke.
We have new information from that breaking news that happened this morning.
While you head out, the storm we gave you the first alert for is on its way in. And as the key turns the ignition, your shorter route to work is being found.
Avoid 459 southbound completely because of a crash.
A new morning means everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama, always on your side.
The first alert traffic you need to get you there safe and on time. Tomorrow morning, everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama.
You're late, out the door, and on the go. Don't worry.
Good Day, Alabama continues all morning long.
And wherever you watch, this is what you need to know right now.
More reporters on the streets with more hours of news when you need it. Everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama. Knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Though we are in the dead of summer here in Alabama in the northern hemisphere, down in the southern hemisphere, winter is technically in full force, but in countries like Argentina, sure doesn't feel like it. The nation recording its hottest winter season in 117 years. The high on Tuesday reaching 86 degrees Fahrenheit in Buenos Aires, with the previous hottest start to August being 76 degrees in 1942. The average high temperature during a typical Argentinian winter is 64 degrees. While 3 firefighters in Phoenix are recovering in the hospital today after a massive fire ignited in a junkyard on Wednesday. And as Adriana Loya reports, the fire began after the wind blew a piece of metal in the air that hit an electrical wire, causing a shed to light on fire as the wire hit the ground.
It's scary to just, come out and see all the smoke.
A fast-moving, wind-driven fire erupting in an industrial area Wednesday afternoon near 31st Avenue and Buckeye Road.
Just fire and smoke, that was it. A lot, and it was spreading everywhere in the yard.
Crews called out for a grass fire around 3 p.m. When they got there, black smoke billowing out of dozens of cars and structures that became engulfed in large flames.
I was thinking about my family, the house, and pretty much everything.
The fire spreading to multiple industrial properties that included scrapyards, recycling centers, and auto shops. Over 100 firefighters fought the flames in 108-degree weather.
The fire hydrants that we did have couldn't supply or support our fire hoses, and then we were experiencing some hydrants that were failing or not providing any water.
Angel Antonio Acevedo Hernandez and his family helping firefighters cool off, giving them water, setting up a fan and misters in their home. But the heat too intense. 2 firefighters were sent to the hospital for heat-related symptoms, and another was transported after suffering a soft tissue injury.
See the temperatures, they're really bad.
Explosions were heard due to vehicles in the yard that were burning gas, along with tires popping. 6 people that lived in a nearby mobile homes were displaced. 4 structures were damaged, along with APS electrical equipment. The official cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Well, extreme summer heat and higher crude oil costs have driven gas prices to their highest level this year. According to AAA, the average U.S. cost for a gallon of regular hit $3.80 yesterday. That's 26 more than a month ago, and prices haven't been this high since November. According to AAA, hot weather has lowered output at oil refineries, which aren't built to operate in temperatures above 95 degrees. In extreme heat, companies scale back production for safety and efficiency purposes. Rising temperatures, believe it or not, can have a significant impact on many aspects of life, including your sleep. I can personally attest to this. Well, today we have an expert's top 10 tips for getting better sleep in the heat. Let me get my notepad.
Higher nighttime temperatures tend to increase wakefulness during the night, as well as decrease deep sleep and REM sleep.
Well, it looks like we're having some technical issues with this clip, but generally it looks like if you can turn on your AC a little cooler at night, I know that can drive up heating costs, but that can certainly help. And if you also drink water before you go to bed, though of course that means you may have to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom. But you know, I've actually talked with my therapist about this. One thing that can help with something like anxiety, if you're having trouble going to sleep, is setting it a little cooler in the bedroom, which again, that could drive up, you know, your power bill, but I think it's definitely helpful. Oh, look, yeah, there you go, getting that ice cold glass of water. Is that alcohol? I feel like that may not be the best thing to do, but maybe getting some water and conserving electricity if you can. Have that fan running before you go to bed as well, or have the fan running anyway. When you're in bed and the AC down, you gotta, and if you're like me, get the little night mask, a cooling night mask, a cooling blanket. There are lots. If y'all want to know, just hit me up on social media. I got a lot of ways to stay cool so you can sleep through the night, not wake up anxious and hot. Well, one thing we have been watching is the tropics. Now, it's been pretty quiet so far, but Colorado State University released its final outlook for this year's Atlantic hurricane season. And not much has changed. CSU announced it will stay with its forecast of an above-average hurricane season. This comes after intense development of El Nino and the likelihood for it to continue through the rest of the season. The presence of above-average sea surface temperatures also contributes to this decision. The university forecasts 18 named storms, with 9 of them being hurricanes and 4 of them being major hurricanes. Well, first responders from across our state are coming together on the University of Alabama campus for the EMA Weather Conference. They're trying to find ways to improve preparation and response to severe weather events, which we know is all too common here in central Alabama.
After 2011, we were looking at how could we be more resilient in our communities to be prepared for disasters like the tornado events of 2011. And it's all about preparedness. And so you've got to find everybody in your community who's interested in being more prepared. So we started having meetings.
We're bringing together everybody all over the state of Alabama basically to talk about what we call unified command, or just in layman's terms, people working together, building relationships.
Well, between that and the National Association of Black Journalists being in town, we've got a lot of really cool beneficial conferences going on this week here in Birmingham. But as far as the EMA conference, the Preparedness for Alabama Resilience Summit meets several times a year. Well, coming up next on First Alert Weather Extra, we'll check when that next big thing is rolling in. Yep, our next chance of storms. And we also have some updates on stories away from the Earth's surface. We'll be right back.
We heard the first alert. Mom says we have to go. She says I don't have time to grab any more toys.
Need to be in your tornado-safe place. Get there right now as you have.
We have to get to our safe place because sometimes when you hear the siren, it's too late. That's why she says knowing first is everything.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team, always on your side.
The first alert is more than a warning. It's a promise. A promise to get you out of harm's way with plenty of time to spare. 4 walls and a roof can be replaced. Lives can't. That's why knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Time for that Super 7-day forecast. And you probably noticed it got a little bit stormy today. Well, we have a first alert for more storms on the way for tomorrow. Now, unfortunately, with this northwest flow pattern, I know you're probably tired of us telling you this because I feel like we've been dealing with this northwest flow pattern a lot this summer. Our weather models do not have a good handle on the timing of these. So sometimes we kind of have to watch where these clusters of storms are about 6 hours out because the weather models just can't really handle the timing on them. So keep in mind what I'm about to show you. It's not the gospel, but just can give us a general idea that as we go into the weekend, off and on clusters of storms will be coming through that have that potential to produce heavy rain, plenty of lightning, some loud thunder, and the possibility of some strong wind gusts. So let's look at that potential for storms for tomorrow. Now we're drying out for tonight. There is going to be the chance for an isolated storm areas to the northeast, right on the eastern periphery of that ridge of high pressure that we've kind of been on the edge of the influence under. So that's where that best chance of maybe seeing a storm would be tonight. But I think we could see the possibility of more storms in the morning. If it happens to be a situation where those storms hold off until the afternoon, that's not out of the realm of possibility. Just make sure you're staying up to date on the First Alert Weather app for tomorrow. And I would have your umbrella and rain jacket when you walk out the door. There may already be some rain around. If there aren't storms in the morning, then they very well could be moving through in the afternoon. So off and on clusters of storms as we go into the next 24 hours, just like today. Those storms could be strong at times, could see a severe thunderstorm warning. But we're going to keep rain chances elevated really through early next week because this northwest flow pattern doesn't look like it's going to budge. Now, here's the thing. I mentioned tomorrow we could have maybe some storms coming through in the morning. What if you get a situation where you're just waiting all day for storms to show up and they may not show up until nighttime? Then it can get pretty hot and humid if those storms take their sweet time to get here. So what I do want to show you is if we have a situation where storms hold off until late into the afternoon or evening, we do need to be mindful that it's still going to be pretty hot and humid. So this is showing us worst case scenario. If we don't have any storms to come through during the heat of the day to cool us off, feels like temperatures could easily get into the triple digits on days like Saturday and Sunday. Notice the model data here is like, well, maybe the storm's coming through tomorrow afternoon or morning, so we wouldn't have to worry about a high heat index, but it's suggesting, hey, they may hold off a little bit Saturday and Sunday. Remember, we don't want to take this as a gospel, but it just gives us a general idea that if those storms aren't around during the heat of the day, it could feel pretty gross outside. So you want to make sure you're playing it safe with the heat. And of course, you don't want to be outside if you hear that, because when thunder roars, go indoors. Right now it looks like as far as the weekend, if you're doing any back to school shopping, from what I've been seeing in the data, Sunday could end up a little bit wetter. but remember, this is kind of a tricky forecast. So I would just plan Saturday nor Sunday is going to be a washout, but you'll have to factor in that there are going to be some storms around at times, and we could see those off and on storm clusters through at least Tuesday. It looks like maybe as we go into the middle of next week, next Wednesday, Thursday, it could potentially get a little drier, but I don't want to totally rule out here that over the next couple of days, we could get some decent rainfall, maybe a good 1 to 3 inches of rain across parts of central Alabama. So we'll keep an eye on things for you. Just know if there aren't storms around, there's a high likelihood it's not going to feel great outside. Now you get storms to come through right afterwards, like, that rain cooled air. But we know how it works. The sun pops through and then it doesn't feel so great anymore. It can feel definitely more sauna-like. So just make sure that you're playing it safe in the heat and playing it safe with the storms. But you know, I trust you guys here in Alabama. We are very accustomed to high heat and we're very accustomed to severe weather. So I trust y'all to play it safe and stay up to date with us on that First Alert weather app. Well, we're talking about the weather here at the Earth's surface, but we talk about going beyond the 7-day. Let's go beyond the Earth's atmosphere. NASA's first capsule recovery test for its Artemis 2 mission to the moon was a success. The test was done off the coast of San Diego on Tuesday, and NASA says the team practiced how they will extract the 4 astronauts from their spacecraft after they land in the Pacific Ocean and recover the Orion crew module. Brian White spoke with some of the crew members who say it was special to be a part of the history-making event.
It was special to be a part of this. You know, it's a history-making event, is what I told the crew.
The first capsule recovery test for the Artemis 2 mission right here off our San Diego coast was successful. And for the crews involved, it was special.
There were a few moments there when they were making the countdown to capsule splashdown where you could really kind of feel how it would feel if Orion was coming back.
We're getting our first look here at what's called the Crew Module Test Article, or nicknamed Vader. It has an internal cabin to simulate an actual space capsule with a crew inside of it.
Nothing goes the same out there, you know, everything's different.
Ryan Kreider was the command master diver for Artemis 1. For this next mission, they're faced with the challenge of extracting 4 astronauts from the capsule.
We begin to inflate it's called a front porch. Basically, it's just a big inflatable that we put all the astronauts on. We pull it off to a safe location, and that's where the helo will come in and extract them.
With a full training workup and capsule recovery now under their belt, NASA crew members are feeling confident. They're ready for the next phase of training.
It was really exciting. This is a big, complex operation. Everybody was just wonderful, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be out in the water and doing what we do.
Lily Villarreal is NASA's landing and recovery director, and for her, being a part of history is surreal.
Yesterday we were like, we did it, we met all our objectives, we were successful, and it hasn't hit me yet. You know, I think tomorrow it will.
The Artemis 2 mission is scheduled to launch in November of 2024 at Naval Base San Diego. I'm Brian White for CBS 8.
And no denying humans have always been fascinated with space. So get this, the first observatory built on Michigan State University's campus has just been unearthed. Workers found it while installing hammock posts in the area. Well, we should install some of those around here at WBRC if anyone's listening. Anyway, Justin Kent has more.
Today, astronomers have a completely different view than the staff and students at Michigan State University in the late 1880s. Facility crews hit a hard spot in the ground when they were installing hammock posts near campus housing. After they notified the campus archaeology program, it was discovered that the site was actually the foundation from the first ever observatory that was built in 1881.
I was stoked, honestly. When I joined CAP, I did not know that we would be excavating the old observatory.
Levi Webb is in his 4th year at MSU, and he took part in the archaeological dig. Webb is studying both astrophysics and anthropology. He said looking at old photos of the observatory is a reminder of how different observing space is now.
Our dome follows the telescope when we move it. Back then, they had to move the dome by hand. They had to move the telescope by hand. Everything was done manually, and today, you know, everything is done pretty much remotely.
Dr. Elias Addy, who works at the current observatory, said back in 1881, astronomers looked up at the sky and believed our solar system was all that was out there. Today, the general public can have an opportunity to look through the current telescope at Michigan State University's observatory. Dr. Addy says this is something he looks forward to every month.
And they really look fake somehow because you can see an actual planet floating in space. And a lot of people are like, is this fake? Are we seeing this for real? And you see like the awe on the faces of these kids. And
the current dig site has been buried. However, future excavations are scheduled for the upcoming school year to uncover the entire foundation of the old building. Reporting in East Lansing, Justin Kent, News 10.
Wow, that is so cool. Well, this is pretty cool too. Even torrential rain won't stop the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. You likely heard, like here on Weather Extra, about storms this past weekend in Metro Washington, D.C. Heavy rain with wind gusts up to 80 miles an hour whipped through the Capitol, pulling up trees by their roots, knocking down power lines and blocking roadways. You can see, though, that didn't stop the Centennial from the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regime, also called the Old Guard. There has been a military presence guarding the tomb at Virginia's Arlington National Cemetery every single day since 1937, rain or shine. Well, you always hear the First Alert weather team telling you to wear light-colored clothing if you have to be out in the heat. Well, that same science can help fight the summer heat on a bigger scale. Researchers have revealed what's being called the world's whitest paint that can reflect massive amounts of sunlight right back to space. And because of the ingredient barium sulfate, it will be much cheaper to produce for mass production and can even be used to paint buildings and cars to keep them cool. It can also reduce the amount of energy used during the summer because less air conditioning will be needed. I'll have to see that to believe it. Scientists hope they can have this paint ready for commercial use by next year. If anyone happens to have a bucket of that paint, I would like to go and paint my car as we speak. Anyway, getting to more archaeological findings, the blue whale might lose its crown as the heaviest animal in history. This comes after fossils of a massive marine mammal were recently discovered in Peruvian deserts. According to the team from the University of Pisa, the Parectus colossus, which has been extinct for centuries, may have tipped the scale at 340 metric tons. By contrast, the blue whale is a casual 190 metric tons. However, the researchers involved with the dig admit they didn't have a full skeleton and that more fossils are needed before a better weight estimate is given. Well, here in current times, we are all trying to keep cool, and the animals at the Brookfield Zoo in the Chicago area are no exception. Today is National Watermelon Day. I don't know about y'all. Oh man, that is a good looking piece of watermelon. I hope he's going to town on that. Oh, that looks, oh, and getting a little leaf on the side too. You always got to get your greens too, right, buddy? So they were enjoying the watermelon. Well, that's like watching my cat with my water cup at night. She loves to knock over. But yeah, treat yourself to some watermelon today, maybe a little watermelon slushy, some watermelon sorbet, watermelon margarita, whatever you got to do to stay cool and embrace your watermelon love on today. But coming up tonight on First at 9, it may actually be after soccer tonight. We've currently got the World Cup on with Fox 6. So just if you can't catch us tonight, you can stay up to date on the First Alert weather app. And as always, you can catch us here on First Alert Weather Extra at 6:30 on weeknights on your favorite streaming platform. Enjoy the rain, cold air. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Have a safe and happy Thursday evening with your watermelon.